Hey guys! So it's January and it's still winter. So for me that means enjoying lots and lots of comfort foods in the forms of soups and stews. And today I want to show you one of my favorite stews, which features beans. So this is my rendition of a Tuscan white bean stew. And in front of me I have these gorgeous white beans that I'll be using in the recipe. As you can see, they're really pretty. They look almost like stones in a way, but they're so white and pearly. And besides beans, this recipe features kale, which is one of my favorite vegetables. And I know kale is one of those vegetables that not everyone likes, but I really think that you'll like it in this stew, especially if you use this Tuscan kale in front of me. So in the markets, you'll find this kind of kale sold as Tuscan kale, dinosaur kale, lacinato kale, or black kale, which is actually what it's called in Italian. It's called cavolo nero. But this type of kale is much more flavorful and sweeter, in my opinion, than the regular curly kale. So I highly recommend you give it a try. And besides these two ingredients, we also have tomato, onion, garlic, and the fresh herb rosemary, which is a popular herb in the Tuscan kitchen. And I think using fresh rosemary in this instance will be a lot more flavorful than dried. And really, there aren't too many ingredients in this recipe. It's really all about using a few good, high-quality ingredients and bringing out the best in their flavor. So let's get started on this Tuscan-style chicken, white bean, and kale stew. So to start this recipe, I'm going to sear some chicken thighs, and I have 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I've cut up into large chunks, and I'm going to salt and pepper them as I go, sear them in batches, and then I'll get started on the rest of the stew. Some oil in the bottom of our Dutch oven, and I'm going to add these nice chicken thighs. And I have this on kind of like medium, lowish heat because I don't want anything to catch. And as I'm searing the chicken, I'm taking out the bits that are nice and brown, and then I'm shifting the rest to the side and then packing in the raw chicken on the other side. It's kind of like a little assembly line. And my last batch. And all the chicken has been nicely seared. So I'm going to add my onions. And let's not forget to add some salt. This will help break down the onions, draw out their moisture. And now I'm going to add the garlic. And I'm going to add the rosemary. This is about a tablespoon of chopped fresh rosemary. And now it's starting to smell wonderful. And now I'm going to add my crushed tomatoes. And now's a good time to scrape up all the bits that have stuck to the bottom of the pan, because that's where all the flavor lies. And I'm going to let the tomatoes cook out a little bit, just because I always think that canned tomatoes have this tin flavor. So I like to cook them out just a little bit before I add anything else. And in the meantime, I'm going to cut up my kale. So for the kale, you really just want these nice slivers. And now I'm going to add my kale. And now I just want to wilt this down a little bit before adding any of the other ingredients. Okay, and now I'm going to add the chicken and my beans. I have 3 cups of the cooked white beans. I cook these beans in just a little rosemary. It's not salted because you don't want to salt dry beans when you're cooking them because it'll make them hard. And now I'm going to add some water, just enough to cover the ingredients. And you want to cover your stew, bring it to a simmer, and cook it for about 45 minutes to an hour. You'll want the beans to soften, to let out their starches, to fall apart a little bit. You want the kale to be nice and soft, and you want the chicken to be absolutely tender. And we'll have a flavorful Tuscan stew to try. So our stew has been cooking for about an hour and it's ready to be served. And there you go, this wonderful hearty Tuscan-style chicken, white bean, and kale stew. I've also got some crusty bread here, which is perfect for dipping into the stew. But before I do that, I'm gonna give it a taste. It's still piping hot, so I have to be careful. The beans are so nice and creamy. I think that's my favorite part. The kale is perfectly cooked and soft, and the chicken is so tender. Okay, going in again. It's so comforting. I love how the rosemary and the garlic comes through. It's rich, it's also very simple. And I think that's what is so unique about Tuscan cooking, is that it's so rustic, so simple, yet so satisfying. I love that there's this Italian saying for Tuscans. They're called mangiafagioli, which means bean eaters, because they love their beans. And honestly, I totally side with the Tuscans because I too love eating beans. I think it's the perfect type of meal to have during these cold winter months of January and February. And I'm going in for the bread, because I love dipping it into these stews. It's so nice. So I think the bean-eating Tuscans have it right. A stew with beans is just so pleasurable and so filling and so comforting. It's the perfect stew for the winter months, and I think it's one of those family meals that you can sit down to on like a Saturday night, Sunday night, or even a weeknight, and you'll have your entire family very pleased. So let me know what you think about the recipe, which is linked in the description below. And please like and subscribe, and thank you again for watching.